Good evening. This is Christy Strum, Independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Shoreview, Minnesota, coming to you live on March 21st, 2021. I am going to be going over a Dandy Garden Suite card that I made a couple months ago, but a variation on it, and then I'll show you that original card that I made as well as another alternative to that I made. I'm going to see if I can pull this up just to see if I can see if it's live or not. My business page changed format this weekend, and or a few days ago, and now I can't tell. I don't know how to find anything anymore. It's a little crazy. I'm seeing all kinds of things and not just things that are on my page. So I'm gonna give this a whirl. Unfortunately, I can't find this video, so I won't be able to comment on things as you're commenting if you're watching live, but I will, of course, follow up with any comments or questions afterwards. All right, so we're gonna make a card with a really super basic fun fold, where it's a basic piece. Oh, don't mind that little divot there. It'll get covered up anyway. A really basic stand piece of cardstock that's 5.5 by wow, this is a little bit of a challenge. 8.5 by 5.5, and scored at 4 1/4 like normal, but it's cut an inch shorter on this edge, so when you fold it, it'll have a little bit of an edge to it, and I'll show you why I've been doing this for a few cards. I've been doing this because I really like the look of having a strip of cardstock right here, so we're going to add that. I think that when I was trying to get my phone hooked up to this stand, I dropped it, and I think that's why there's this little dent in my cardstock, but no matter. Okay. Then as long as we're here, add this. I see that there's a little dent here on my on my work surface as well, so I decided to go ahead and do this little white inside piece right away as well. Get that out of the way. All right, and so then for the front, we're going to do something with vellum, which you can maybe see in the corner. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the Dandy Garden Suite. It actually has 2 stamp sets, Garden Wishes and Dragonfly Garden. It has dies that coordinate, and it also has a punch that we're going to use. And then there's an item that's not part of the suite, but I think is a good addition, which is the Dandelions 3D Embossing Folder. That's what we're going to add to this. It just seems to coordinate really well for me. So this is the piece that I've already embossed with the vellum, just to get it ready ahead of time. And we're just going to put glue dots, but we're going to put them, these are some older glue dots. We're going to put them strategically where they're going to be covered up, and that's not going to help you right now, but I'm going to put a couple right here where my thumb is, and then a couple down here, so that they're hidden by other things that I'm going to add to the card. So I'm just going to put glue dot there, glue dot there, a couple of glue dots down here, just because those end up showing through the vellum. Oh, I put those on the wrong side. Okay. Just gonna take those out really quick. Live video. It's always harder. Did I put the other ones in the right place? I did. Okay. Need to be on this side of the card. So opposite of what I was doing. Alright, see if I can, well, let's get that in view. Then we'll lay this down. Press on where those glue dots are, but you can see there are things that don't show through as much, but this is enough to anchor that vellum on there for that. And then we're going to, for this card, we're going to punch out one of the dragonflies that, there's one sheet in the 6x6 designer series paper that coordinates with this suite that has a bunch of butterfly or dragonflies that coordinate with the punch. So that makes it really easy to punch out a quick dragonfly. Actually, I'm going to use that in a second. I do want to make sure I use some Wink of Stella on the wings. I'm just going to do this quickly just to show. I'll probably touch it up later, but I always like to do a little Wink of Stella on the dragonfly wings. See if that, I don't know if that'll show. This is my older Wink of Stella, I think, so it doesn't show as well. So I'll do them more later to show that off. But then I usually kind of fold the wings a little bit to kind of give them a little lift. And then we'll add mini dimensionals. You could also add jewels to this, or anything you want to sparkle it up. For this, we're just gonna put the dragonfly here, make sure it has a little flight. And then we need to have, well, I don't need to, but we're going to add a sentiment. So, hey, I forgot paper. Good thing I have some super handy. It's a small craft space, so nothing is very far away. So for this card, we're going to do the May Good Things Grow All Year Long sentiment. This is all in Blackberry Bliss. Let that sit for just a second to make sure the ink has a chance to soak into the paper. Oh, actually I'm going to leave this open because I'm going to use it again for something quick. Alright, then to use this label punch, which of course I forgot to check the name of before I did this. Make sure that's squared up. Story label punch, that's what it is. And then I don't do this all the time, but I do it pretty frequently. I will ink the edges with a sponge dauber, especially if I'm not layering it on another, if I'm not layering the sentiment on another layer. Like you could do a second punch of this and kind of split it in half and kind of put it to the top and bottom. I've done that. But for this, I decided just to ink the edges for some little extra dimension. It's a favorite technique. When I don't do it, I have friends who ask me, "You didn't do it." Not every time, most of the time. So pop that up on a couple of dimensionals. It's going to hang over the edge, so we're not going to put all of them on there. Put that right there. And then remember this little extra one? The reverse of this particular sheet happens to be that same it's exactly that same paper, that Blackberry Bliss print. So I'm going to put a tiny amount of adhesive on this and hide this sort of right behind here. Just make sure it doesn't show to the front. Just kind of slide it over so it's just a little, kind of a little extra surprise when you open the card. There's a little extra dragonfly hanging out right there. So that card is done. You could, of course, add another sentiment to the inside, but that's enough for this card. I look forward to putting some more Wink of Stella on there to make it even more shiny. So then I'll show you, the original card was one that was with Calypso Coral. And for this one, I punched out the dragonfly from designer series paper, but I just used it a print. I actually did this for a swap, so I needed a bunch of them, and I knew it wasn't going to have enough if I did the one from the paper to do all of them in the same color. So I just used one of the prints, and then you can do the same thing, get a little dimension, a little flying action. And I used the Timeless label punch for this one with a different sentiment from the same suite. Different things might be from the two different stamp sets, but the font is exactly the same for both of them, so they all coordinate. And then finally, I did this one that's mostly the bumblebee, but I actually stamped this with the saddle brown StazOn on watercolor paper, the Fluid 100 watercolor paper, and then watercolored this with just ink and one of the water painters. I used the skinny water painter because it's a really small surface. And I used those the coordinating colors, Blackberry Bliss, Calypso Coral, Misty Moonlight, and Bumblebee. And it's the same kind of thing going on. And then this is the tailored tag punch for that particular sentiment. So 3 different ways to do the dragonfly. That you could also just stamp it with a plain old color. And I'll show you a card with that in a second. There's sort of that trio. This was a featured product, featured suite for our demonstrator event on stage several months ago. And these are the cards that they provided as make and take. So we had the supplies on hand, they told us what to have on hand, and then we made these for online gathering. So for these, we did some of those same things. This one is punched out from the paper. This one is stamped in the Bumblebee ink. This one is just white paper of the smaller dragonfly. And one of the other things I kind of wanted to point out was these ladybug trinkets that are also part of this suite. I didn't use those on my card, but I did use them on something else that I posted recently. A box that has the ladybugs holding up a hinge. So they're so cute. So yeah, I think that was really all I wanted to share today, was a little bit more about how I put together that card with vellum. I'll be I'm planning to post this information on my blog on Tuesday with any more information that you might need. And this will also get posted to YouTube by then as well. So yeah, if you have any questions, of course, let me know, either on Facebook or on YouTube. And I will see you in a week. Thank you.